Patel with Power Magazine. Today I am joined by two industry leaders, Darnell Streat, who is Chief Operating Officer at Lamons, a US-based manufacturer of sealing and fastening solutions for critical energy sectors, and James Smejkal, who is Vice President of Sales and Marketing at CAP Logistics, which specializes in complex, time-sensitive logistics for critical infrastructure. Welcome. So I wonder if we could just begin by understanding what you think has changed the most dramatically as energy demand shifts and we're seeing this overdrive of speculation about what is going to happen. How is your business changing, Darnell?
Here at Lamons, as it relates to the energy and power sector, we see the demand for our product really growing, and that EPCs are requiring us to be more project-oriented and be able to respond to their demand in a very short period of time. So we're having to deploy technology in our shipping area, deploy technology on our production floor in order for us to help them keep their projects on time.
And James?
Of course, we live in Texas, so the grid is definitely overworked right now, and so much power is needed more than ever. And there is a sway where we're looking at the grid versus all this new power coming through, not totally in line and also even just like compatible. But right now, currently, we're not seeing we're starting to see some of those power projects be canceled moving into next year. But we're starting to see where most of the EPC companies, they're asking different questions, not more about how fast, how quick, but they're about risk management. They're more about versus what are the risks involved. But there is evolution happening right now. We're just in the very beginning.
I did want to ask, Darnell, we are at the Lamons site and in Houston at the facility. I wonder if you could give us a sense of where you see manufacturing changing in terms of how it can deliver with the urgency that we need for all of these major power plants and other components that we need to drive the energy transition.
From a manufacturing perspective, we feel our part is being able to deliver those key components as it relates to bringing projects up on time. As new technologies are being deployed, we're adapting our manufacturing process so that we can deliver in a timely manner. When they go through their project management process, we like to be part of that as well, because that project has been designed a certain kind of way, and we need to manufacture in a way that helps them deliver that project. We may be designing something here for a hydrogen project that's going to be in Dubai, that's going to be in the South America, and we need to not only just be able to design the product, deliver it on time, but we have to couple in that transportation, that logistics. And that's what you see James here for as well.
And James, I know there has been a lot of concerns about the supply chain of late, being a major point of delay sometimes. I wonder how, would you explain to our readers, our audience, how you were looking at the supply chain and its constraints and how you are helping to resolve that with solutions or services?
So we have these triage meetings because planning is essential. We try to do it early on. It's very important. But on constraints from all the tariffs, inbound imports on ocean liners, during the tariffs, we've seen that drop with all the container loads coming in half empty. That's now starting to change a little bit. But when you have certain aspects that are obstacles in the way, we have to problem solve and actually pivot. So if it's it has to go to like New York, might go to LA and have it trucked or railed across country just to make sure it's there on time. So we're thinking outside the box. I think it will continue to be a disruption in some way because of the way the world's changing with power and also energy.
I wonder if you could talk to us a little bit about the cost risk, which is another growing concern for the EPCs. You know, it's being driven by several macroeconomic forces and far beyond the job site. If Darnell, you know, how are you navigating the tariffs, bottlenecks and trade shifts and helping the EPCs manage those costs and risks?
It makes it very difficult to navigate that cost. But I have a great supply chain organization, and they work 24/7. So we are in the process of trying to steer our sourcing around the world where not only do we get best pricing power, but now we also have to think about the geolocation in terms of we need pricing, but we can get good pricing in this geographic area based on the political climate. The uncertainty is I may actually find a place, and in 3 months, I may have to move some of my operations. It's very difficult for me to put a long-term solution in until the geopolitics start to settle down. So I have to be very agile. And with that in being in the background, I now have to take that cost pressure and be able to compress it with my customers, because our EPC customers are going to look for us to be able to drive best cost in class. And so it's on our team to figure out how to source better, how to manage the projects better, and deliver a cost-effective product that is also embedded in the cost of that EPC project.
James, how are you guys doing?
Actually, we're doing pretty good. We're trying to educate our customers on what's going on, tariffs, especially if there's a current project that was planned last year that's going to be happening soon. We let them know, hey, these are your major lane segments and this is what you can incur. There are people out there that don't want to know or just don't think about it and ship it and complain they didn't know. So we're trying to educate them more about tariffs and more about how we can help with trying to do different origin points and also destinations where they're not hit so hardly from a tariff, for example, coming from a different country where you can procure the same valve or the same gaskets versus China, for example. That's happening quite a bit where they're kind of going through and adding more suppliers, which is part of this whole process. As we move forward into power and the changes and evolution, you're going to have more suppliers. You're going to have to look at actually buying local, buying global. That's just the necessary evil of it, but that's evolving right now. We're seeing that.
You know, I think it's amazing that you are both here today. I wonder if you could give us a real world example of how you have collaborated to resolve some of these issues of late.
A lot of times our customers may need a special part, and we can get that part manufactured, custom designed, but when they need it and the time it takes for us to make it, we have to rely a lot on Cap Logistics to help make up that time. Cap Logistics and James have been very good about being able to put wheels under some of our products so that something that might take 1 day to produce and the customer wants it within 24 to 48 hours. Typically, James and Cap Logistics can find a mode of transportation that can deliver in hours, whereas in normal times, it might have been 3 days before they got it.
That's what we do. We make the impossible possible. We offer a full suite of services, but when it comes to time critical demand, some of these plants are losing $200,000 an hour for an unplanned outage or if they're out. So we work with Lamons to ensure every step of the way when it's either on the production line, on the manufacturing line, to get updates on how much longer it's going to be, because every minute counts. But that these power plants are down. So once it's ready, we have a truck standing by. For example, we fly same day to out west or east and so forth, and we can usually have it on site from east to west coast in 45 hours. So every hour counts. Could be downtime, could be anywhere between $100,000, $200,000 and up. The on-demand, anything same day, really easy for us. That's the easy thing for us. If someone's down, we're counting every minute to make sure there is a first plan of action. We have quite a bit of these extra just things that if X, Y happens, then what do we do, et cetera. So always on top of that, always providing all the visibility and transparency to both the customer, end user, and the manufacturer. So everybody's kept involved.
I do want to ask you a little bit about the supply chain. One of the biggest pain points in the supply chain that we are having, it has to do with the workforce. We are having a labor shortage to some extent. You know, it's all about the people, as we see here at the facility today. So how are you transitioning in terms of, are you experiencing a labor shortfall, and how are you navigating that?
What we find is that if we continue to add new talent in at all levels, some professional in the workforce, some college students, we reduce our risk of having gaps in our talent pool. And so it's worked out really good for us, but it's something that we have to monitor on a year-to-year basis. When we have X number of people that will retire from the organization, we have to figure out a way how to backfill those. But the talent pool is getting very tight, and we've noticed that for the last 3 to 4 years. And we try to work with our HR department to always have a pulse on the organization. We also have our production workers that take maybe a little bit different route. It's a skill set that is grown over 3, 4, 5 years. So we take a different approach, and we're looking at having some OJT, on-the-job training. We're looking at developing different skill set jobs where a person can maybe learn 2 different skill sets over the course of a year or 2, and then we have them stay in a department, learn everything, and then rotate to another department. And we're training them up for 5 years from now. They come in as a regular worker, but then they learn different skill sets. And from there, when we have a need in a certain department, we're hoping that we can pull from that pool of talent to go satisfy that individual department need.
Has there been, in recent years, a shift in your customers? Meaning, in the power industry, one dynamic we watch very closely is who is at the helm of the supply chain decisions, and that's moving from, EPCs or asset owners to, you get a whole bunch of new customers like data centers and large load users, for example. Is that what you're seeing? Are you sensing a shift for who your primary customers might be? Or
we do see a shift in the number of EPC customers in some regards, but mainly the types of projects that we see coming down: water projects, power projects, wind, solar, all of those type projects we see coming down. And we are able to service those customers. We have products that they need in order to greenlight their projects and keep them on time. We've seen this happening over the last couple of years, and what we've done, we've leaned into it with our product set. We've got products to service all of those areas: the wind, the solar, the water type projects. And so we feel like we're positioned well to grow as this evolution of power starts to kind of change and morph into something a little bit more than just oil and gas and that's it. We've been able to service that whole breadth of that power and energy network along the continuum.
And I would say we're seeing changes where EPC companies are now in charge of the whole project. Now it seems to be working hand in hand with each other, with EPC leading the way. We are seeing growth indirectly right now with everything that's needed for power. You're seeing for the first time ever oil and gas companies are reaching out to power companies to support their business, which it's unheard of. Just started happening this year. And AI is changing the way for everybody right now.
What kind of digital improvements are you making, for example? What would you say?
I'll start on our logistics side and I'll work back, because just yesterday we had a QBR with James and Cap Logistics, our quarterly business review. We talked about what we've done in the past over the last 3 years, and we realized we have gone from just being able to ship trucks out the door to now where we're getting a solution on the table now. We can track every shipment that comes out of here and give our end customer intel on where their product is on the road. We wouldn't have been able to do that 2 years ago. We wouldn't have been able to do that 3 years ago. We've been able to develop some of this technology in conjunction with Cap Logistics. We've deployed more technology in the last 48 months than we probably have in the last 10 years in this organization.
We're seeing many different technologies that are starting to make a splash. How are you integrating those technologies into your future planning? What challenges do you foresee with the profile that we have today, and how do you think it will work?
With the actual SMRs, for example, with us, that's going to require special transportation. So all the new renewables and what's coming up in nuclear power for these cooling centers, there's so much power that's needed to keep that at current temperature. The infrastructure, very unique, which will create challenges in the future. As far as with SMRs, I mentioned, usually very large. It requires a permit load to move across the country. Every state has to approve it. And with hydrogen, it's more of infrastructure as well. It's so complex. Trust is still needed by the consumer, by the power plants, by everyone involved. And just to hear about steam, gas, turbines coming back, I just heard that in February.
Darnell, are you seeing any changes? How are you anticipating that?
Yeah, on our side, on the innovation side, we've developed product. We've developed gaskets for hydrogen. Hydrogen has very small molecules and can leak through the traditional gaskets. We have developed gaskets that will deal with hydrogen leakage and notify the end user if they're having any issues along that pipeline. We have our engineers working on future products to adapt to the industry, whether it be hydrogen, steam, nuclear are things that we're looking at as well to meet all the requirements.
Well, we'll be watching to see the solutions and then the many innovations that you come up with. I just want to thank you both for sitting down and explaining this to us very patiently. If you want to see more about our supply chain and logistics stories, please visit powermagazine.com. And it's been such a pleasure to speak with you both. Thank you very, very much.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you.